will be getting things underway. Lena Karmas, could be a changed role for her tonight. We're used to seeing her as an out-and-out striker for the Sky Blues, but probably drops back into midfield tonight. We'll wait and see how that evolves. And she can't take 2 touches off the kickoff. She can take 1, but not 2, Jamie.
No, it's an interesting way to try and start the game off. I'm not sure how many times Karmas has been required to take the kick. Certainly shows the intentions of...
They're going to take it off her. Well, they've none of that nonsense, says the referee. We'll give it to the Perth Glory if you're going to try and muck around like that, Lena. Sydney FC have it back now. Through Bolger. The right back is Georgia Yeomandale. And Remy Seamson playing ahead of her. Reward for her eye for goal that we've seen throughout the season. She's Sydney FC's top goal scorer with 6. Still a 17-year-old teenager and included tonight for Ortega, the visa player. Kerr goes down, no foul. Yeomandale looks for Bolger again. Perth win it back in the attacking third. Kerr gets a shout from Jamie Gibbons, but Sydney FC able to scramble it out.
And that's where Perth Glory will have the advantage in those central areas. Bobby Despotovsky employing a diamond for the majority of this season to enable the likes of Rosie Sutton and Sam Kerr to partner together up front, and it has proved a very fruitful partnership for them.
There's Mortz, one of the Americans in the Perth Glory 11. Headed clear by Alana Kennedy, and here is Seamson, this talented teen, getting the better of Natasha Rigby. Now looking for the feet of Kaya Simon. There's Uzunla. Ford playing on the left wing. Good defensive work. Sticking to the task with Sarah Carroll. Sydney FC still have it though. And Kim Carroll clears. It's the matchup they'll like, trying to get Kerr isolated against Ralston if they can.
They certainly will. Expect Rosie Sutton to play on one side, but Sam Kerr's pace can be very dangerous for Ralston.
Thought she might have been offside there, but it's play on, and it's around the penalty spot for the Glory. And it comes to naught. They do get a corner out of it, but Sydney FC very nearly exposed there. What do you think about it, Flag?
Well, Kerr's just tried to hold her run as it's played. Just looks perhaps a step offside. But that's what Perth Glory have tried to do this season. Isolate Sam Kerr against the defender. Allow her to use her pace to get in behind. And more often than not, she'll be first to the ball.
See, the wind is going to help the tail on this corner. It's a good area too. It skims off the head of Alana Kennedy. Sam Kerr says to her teammate, you can chase that one. And Caitlin Ford got there first anyway. And a little deflection for a Sydney FC throw.
Well, there's going to be some intriguing battles all across the pitch as well. Sarah Carroll up against Caitlin Ford. Caitlin Ford, of course, a former Perth Glory player as well. Spent a couple of seasons here in the West. Caitlin Ford just such blistering pace. Sarah Carroll have to keep watch. The midfield battle, already spoken about the Diamond 4 of Glory against the midfield through Sydney FC. It really does make for a fascinating game.
Here's Karmas. Really good football brain Karmas possesses, despite that kick-off moment. She obviously wasn't aware of that rule. There has been a rule change with the kick-off when you can just pass it backwards now. You don't need to go forwards initially. Karmas just took it on herself. It's never been a bylaw that you can kick it twice yourself, though, before someone else touches it, Jamie.
No, usually you disguise someone else to try and do it, and, well, the other team's not looking, but we'll allow Karmas that one, given what's at stake here today.
Cute little touch there from Kerr, and the shot flashes across the face. That's wide from Gibbons, a young lady who gained invaluable experience in the college system in the States.
Yeah, she did. She came up through the Football West NTC program. Was lucky enough to work with Gibbons for a couple of years before she did go across the US, and certainly matured there. Very athletic individual as well. Good engine on her. And she provides a great deal of energy up and down the side of the right-hand side of that diamond for Perth Glory.
Kerr, little back heel. Gets on the end of things in the end. She was hoping it might go a little further towards goal. Now Sydney FC win it back. Karmas once more. Polias will just anchor midfield. Wuzunla helps it on to Caitlin Ford. Carroll backs off. Now Karmas. He'll take on the strike. Not bad either. But happy to watch it sail wide was Gabby Del Busco.
Well, it was a good effort from Karmas, just getting a little bit of space on the edge of the box. And when Caitlin Ford's got the ball, Despotowski's instructions to his defenders will be to support Sarah Carroll. There's not many defenders in world football who can live with Caitlin Ford. They certainly do need to support, but Karmas had just pulled off beautifully and was looking for that far corner, intelligent effort.
How intimidating is that front three that Sydney FC put out there today with Caitlin Ford, Kaya Simon, two Matilda's stars, and then the youngster Remy Simpson. Got to be on guard. Both back fours this afternoon. And Kennedy aware of the threat of Kerr with a good, strong challenge. One back by Mortz. Kerr's on the move again. Yeoman Dale trying to stop her. And Kerr whips in a cross. Good pace on it. And Rosie Sutton just applauds the intent.
Again, it's good from Kerr. Trying to deliver the ball in for Rosie Sutton this time. Rosie Sutton, one of the best headers in the W League. She certainly does throw herself at the ball when she does get the opportunity and relishes those sorts of situations. Already you can see Sydney FC with perhaps a more controlled possession build-up game. Perth Glory more than happy to get the ball early to Sam Kerr. Di Bernardo, very important in the Glory setup as well. It'll be interesting to see how Teresa Polias can deal with her.
Yeah, Di Bernardo with a crucial intervention there, and this time the flag goes up against Kerr and she waves it off and says, I timed my run just fine that time.
Well, she always does. She likes playing off the shoulder. It is a position she finds herself comfortable. She is offside on that one. Good decision by the assistant on the near side. You can expect to see Sam Kerr do that all day. Just play on that shoulder of the last defender, the centre half. Looking for those little balls over the top.
Lovely ball sprayed by Polias. Wuzunla. Ford makes her move. Tricks her way past and kept it in too. Did Ford. Not out was the cry. It is now. Kim Carroll, the final clearance. Brilliant from the Asian Player of the Year again. Romero managed to get a foot on the cross. Another one to chase for Simpson against Rigby. And credit the left back, who's showing a versatility this afternoon by switching the full-back roles, dealing with the threat of Simpson there. One back by Yeoman Dale. In first time from Polias. Away from Romero. Now Simpson. She's a goal sneak. Tries to sniff one out there with the first time shot. Ford gets away from two defenders. And the deflection! That's brilliant goalkeeping from Del Busco, because it flicked off Kaya Simon midway through its journey. And she reacted wonderfully well to get down to her left-hand side.
Very quick reflexes from Del Busco.
Now Simon again! And the header flashes wide. Well, opportunities in quick succession for the Sky Blues.
Well, Sydney FC really should be 1-0 up. It's a fantastic save from Del Busco. Quick reactions. The deflection off Simon after the shot from Ford. And the second opportunity, Kaya Simon with a free header. She'll be disappointed with that. Tried to beat Del Busco at her near side. Really should have gone back across to try and find the far side of the net.
How solid was that contact? Alana Kennedy has left her opponent sucking in the big ones here.
With Jamie Gibbons on the ground. Alana Kennedy, such a big, strong, imposing player. Certainly doesn't shirk a challenge. Slightly heavy touch, and both players committed to that. And the full weight of Alana Kennedy onto Gibbons as she falls. Certainly will be a physical encounter today as well.
Kept in by Simon. Look at past Polias, Rosie Sutton. Has to try and find some room. Kerr just heavy with that touch, gave Kennedy a little look at it. Sutton wants the delivery at the back post. Now well positioned to clear there. Yeomandale and Ralston were dealing with the threat of Sutton. Yeomandale, who suffered the heartbreak of being one of the last players cut for that Olympic squad last year. Right on the radar for Matilda's selection again. The squad will be picked after the grand final next week for the Algarve Cup in Portugal. It's going to be interesting to see the makeup of that squad.
It will, after the successful Olympics campaign. The regeneration of the squad, I suppose, has to keep on turning to some good young players who are coming through, and still the likes of Kaya Simon and Lisa Devana and those players who've been there for a while, what role they've got to play as the Matildas look forward.
Well done by Rigby again there. Able to find Morts down the line. And that one just bent out of play from Rigby. She was set a task by the American winger. There is the Matildas coach, Alan Stajic, clocking up the air miles of late, checking out all this W League action, and so many players out there on his radar. Good burst of speed there from Yeomandale, poked out by Stanton.
Well, that's what Yeomandale can provide. She is a speedster. She really has developed a defensive side of the game over the past couple of years as well. Certainly a threat going forwards, and provides a good foil for Seamson out on that side.
They really do press well in that part of the pitch, don't they, Sydney FC, trying to create the turnover and then hit the glory quickly. Flex out off Ralston, who's been a rock-solid player for Sydney FC in the heart of defence for so long. Here's a concern, though. Lena Karmas, who flew into that challenge, trying to break things up, came off second best. Maybe just sucking in the wind.
He's looking a bit of discomfort, but Karmas is a tough player. She certainly wouldn't drop out of a game like this. Just as the clearance going to clear down, and just a strike into the midriff. Sydney FC's greatest ever goal scorer. 38 goals in her 81 W League games. Last touch off Sutton, according to the assistant, who was a long way away, of course. Difficult for her to make the call. That's an easier one. Sutton looking for Kerr. Sydney FC players in there in good numbers. They left it for Sutton, though. And eventually clear by Karmas. Strong play from Seamson. She just makes things happen. Sydney FC. Now Kerr, a little glance over the shoulder, see where the defender was. Back heel didn't quite come off. And I think that's good refereeing. Romero got a big shove in the back there. Even though she managed to get her boot to the ball, she was knocked off balance big time. Mexican international. She's going to take this set piece as well. Kerr and Sutton among the targets. And drifting out the back, all alone is Morts. And that's great closing down, the speed of Yeomandale again, to ensure that cross didn't flash across the face. Well, it is a good recovery from Yeomandale. She gets caught underneath the ball initially. Lana Kennedy working back, trying to win it. And then just that speed we spoke about, able to recover the situation, but still a chance now for Perth Glory.
Corner is deep. Cry of keeper. Quaylo couldn't get there. Seamson, clumsy challenge, and a free kick a lot closer to the edge of the area this time.
She's been strong a couple of times, Seamson. This ball came over. So Uzunla in there saving the day. She's not afraid to be physical, Simpson. Rigby just cops the ball to their head as well, just for good measure.
Now Vanessa Di Bernardo, 24-year-old American, scored 10 goals in her W League career. Drives it into a great area, and out comes Quaylo. There's a confidence-boosting punch clear. Back in by Di Bernardo, and they left it for Kerr, who tries to poke it in the bottom corner. And she's upset with herself because Rosie Sutton was in space centrally.
It's poor defending from Sydney FC on that occasion, allowing the cross to come all the way through. That's the last person you want to see on the receiving end from a Sydney perspective. Perhaps just offside. He's able to find a space and trying to play Rosie Sutton. Sam Kerr had seen the run. Was just trying to bend with the outside of her foot. And able to execute on that occasion.
Well done by Gibbons, who's recovered well after that earlier clash. They give it straight back to Karmas. Bolger able to help it on to Uzunla. Now Di Bernardo. Misplaced pass. Kennedy overran it. And lucky Uzunla is there again for Sydney. Elias pulls the strings in midfield. Yeomandale asking for options. Mortz, who's a really good defender for an attacking player, gets back and sees off the threat of the fullback. Now Simpson just across the sideline before she hooked it back into play.
Well marshalled on the far side by Perth Glory. Yeomandale had a little bit of space to work with, got herself forward, but Mortz worked across well. Didn't allow Yeomandale to utilise that pace of hers.
Oof. 50-50 kind of challenge there between Rigby and Simon, the two number 17s. Carroll says, let's get it out of here, and puts it into row E.
I think both sets of players certainly know what's at stake. Grand final for one of these two teams. They're certainly not going to die wondering.
Del Busco able to get everything behind it after a long searching ball from Yeomandale. Got a chance after a finger injury to Maisels and hasn't looked back since. Del Busco been at the club a long time now.
She certainly has. He was lucky enough to work with Del Busco through the NTC program as well, and bided at a time as the number of goalkeepers came before. Fantastic to see her taking a chance and getting the opportunity from the start in this semi-final.
Nicely done by Karmas. Here's Bolger. Drives it straight into the back of Romero. Uzunla can get it into the mixer here. And Del Busco watches it go over a crossbar gratefully.
Disappointing from Uzunla. She usually has got good quality, and she delivers from wide areas as well. Sydney FC had an overload on that far post. Oh, Simon was lurking with intent. Fortunately for them, the cross was overhit.
Early ball, nice idea, important intervention there from Elias because Kerr was on the go again. Now forward quickly the other way. It's towards the byline and wins the corner off Sarah Carroll.
There's that tactic trying to isolate Sarah Carroll against Caitlin Ford. Sarah Carroll sticks to her guns this time, doesn't dive in, doesn't allow the opportunity to get past. Now a chance for Sydney to deliver one.
I just hope it's not
Skipper will take it. Elias drive this one into the breeze. Wasn't happy with the connection. Simon will keep it alive. And the shot takes a deflection. Polias can let it go for another corner. Try and get the connection a bit sweeter this time.
Well, Uzenla can certainly hit a ball as well. Got it out of her feet well. A good striker. That was travelling, that ball. Polias looking for an in-swinger. Try and isolate Del Busco in the air if possible.
Again, same connection, but the header is one. And it goes wide from Kaya Simon.
You can certainly hear the effects from Polias. He wasn't happy with either of those two. It's a good leap by Simon. Difficult from that far out, from that angle, to try and get the header back on target.
Helped on by Kerr. High boot against Polias. It's tough when you're playing against a player who's about 5'2".
It's not the tallest of players, Polias, by any means, and was ducking down. Dangerous play from Kerr.
Forward again, running at Sarah Carroll, who times her challenge beautifully. One of two unrelated Carrolls in that back four. Uzenla makes room. The attempted cross towards Karmas, who made a good run from midfield.
They're finding some good areas, Sydney FC. Got good possession in and around the final third. Just their delivery at the moment is just hurting them. You have got Kaya Simon in the centre. You want to be finding up Simpson as well, the Sydney top goal scorer. The delivery just hasn't been good enough.
Little apology from the referee for blowing that one up, because there was a good advantage accruing for the Sky Blues. Instead, Kennedy can take the free kick. Just roll it out to forward if she likes on the left wing. Instead, gets it into the box. Simpson made a nice run and able to keep it in as well. Dale. Karmas, she was asking for the ball. Terrific one from the right back too. And Karmas couldn't pick out Simon in the middle. Going to come back again. Polias showed too much of it to Gibbons. There's that closing down, the second effort, Uzenla that time. They eventually get it to Kerr. And here's something opening up for Perth, but first time ball wasn't the right option from Gibbons. Nice layoff from Simon. Bolger almost forcing Ford to go forward there with the pass, and now the tap-in potential for Simpson, and Simon on the follow-up puts Sydney FC in front. Constant pressure from the Sky Blues pays off, and their Matilda's superstar was there to pounce with a nice finish past Del Busco.
Well, it's been coming, hasn't it, Speedy? It's a wonderful ball from Bolger in for Ford. It just shapes to go one way, takes it back the other. It's a lovely cutback. Really fantastic block to start with, and the acrobatics from Kaya Simon. It's a good effort early from Simpson, but then the side volley from Simon, able to keep it down, get into the turf. Del Busco with a despairing dive, couldn't get near it. That's a good start for Sydney FC.
He's gone for it today, the Sydney FC coach, Dan Barrett. So many goal scorers out there in the final third for Sydney FC. Simpson couldn't finish, but when it fell for Kaya Simon, she banged home her 39th W League goal, her 5th of the season, and here goes Simpson once more. Got away from Rigby that time. Yeoman Dale can get there. And again, closing down by Morts.
They'll do wonders for the psyche of Sydney FC. We've got the greatest of records here at this stadium. Beaten in the semi-final a couple of years back.
Oh, brilliant from Simon. Chance for Ford now. And she slips at the key moment. And couldn't get the shot on target.
Well, how dangerous is Sydney FC looking. Ford looks over her shoulder. Just loses her footing as she goes to strike the ball. Capable of some wonderful goals, Caitlin Ford. That one probably not one of her finest moments.
You mentioned how good it is for the psyche of Sydney FC. They really blew the Premier's plate with those 2 losses at the back end of the season. Victory in either of those games would have been enough. But Dan Barrett had some harsh words to say at the video session at the start of the week. They put it all behind them, and he's been so impressed with the way they've responded on the training pitch. Could get caught out here though. Kerr, Kennedy would have pumped it clear in the end.
Well, only Rosie Sutton really forward for Perth Glory in the box. They do need to get some support if Sam Kerr is going to drift a little bit wider and not try and isolate on one of the centre halves. And the likes of Di Bernardo or Morts, Gibbons really do need to get themselves forward and be an option in there. But Sydney FC, certainly Perth Glory, with the opportunity for the Premier's plate as well, falling against Adelaide United in the penultimate round. It's almost looked as though no team wanted to win it over the past few weeks. Sydney FC have certainly started this game very strongly to put to bed any hoodoo they may have from this ground.
A lovely little return ball from forward there. Bolger just thought Ford would be moving into that space, but she showed her discipline and thought, I better cover for Uzunla, who was pushing forward.
Well, she generally will be in that space. She's like a kid at times, her enthusiasm with the ball. Certainly when coaching her, you want to let her do her own thing. She's so gifted, runs with the ball so well, almost as quickly as she runs without it. When she's in full flow, she can certainly create some very good things for Sydney FC.
They retreat all the way to Romero, putting her under pressure with Simon and Ford lurking. And the goal scorer gives away the foul.
Casey Rybolt, they're indicating it was the first one. I didn't think Kai Simon had done too much wrong. 6 of one, half dozen the other, really, for me.
Saw the desperation from Romero, who put her arm across Simon, realising that there was potential there. Sydney FC to create the turnover they craved.
Romero's done a very good job for Perth Glory this year at centre-back, usually a full-back. He's really stepped in the middle alongside Kim Carroll and provided that spine for Perth Glory to build on.
She's given Morts one to chase here. Penalty! It was clumsy from Yeoman Dale, who's going to go into the book as well. That's pretty harsh, I reckon, but the spot kick looks warranted. Mort's able to get her body between the defender and the ball.
Well, Yeoman Dale just lost sight of the ball. And Morts is able to get her body in between Yeoman Dale. Yeoman Dale tripping then over the feet, forcing Morts to the floor, and it's an easy decision for the referee. Chance now for Di Bernardo to level.
Yeah, the 24-year-old on loan from the Chicago Red Stars against the Sydney FC debutante, Claire Quaylo. Her first ever W League final, facing up to the spot kick, and she's no chance. Dispatched beautifully by Di Bernardo, and we're level in the semi.
Well, it's come through a Sydney error. Yeoman Dale jumping for the ball when she really wasn't able to get there, and then into the back of Morts. It's a good finish. Di Bernardo sent the keeper, who was looking to go the other way. Probably Despotovsky doesn't show too much emotion with the goal. He knows that his side are perhaps a little bit lucky to be back on level terms. Such the way that Sydney FC have dominated a lot of this first half.
Ford maintaining her dribble there, looking really threatening, and the referee drags it back again. Says set piece is your advantage. Your thoughts?
I think Caitlin Ford with the ball at her feet is the advantage, certainly. Give the chance for Alana Kennedy to get herself forward. I'm sure she'd relish a goal against her old club.
It's going to be Bolger to swing it in. Another player in the Sky Blues lineup with Matilda's experience. In towards the penalty spot. Oh, headed clear. Dealt with that really well defensively. Did the home team. Now it's Rosie Sutton, one out, and that'll do for Perth. Should be their throw, and Eventually, the flag points their way.
I thought Rosie Sutton might have got the last touch off that. I thought Ralston did a great job in corralling Sutton towards the touchline.
There's Romero again. Kim Carroll. Oh, look at Yeoman Dale. He's on that yellow card. Got to be careful the way she goes into challenges now. Do you think that should have just been a spot kick, or the yellow card's justified on top of it?
Well, given this situation and the fact that Mortz was likely to cut inside and open up a chance, it is breaking up a promising attack. So it's, I suppose it was more clumsy than anything else, wasn't it? There was no malice in it. But from that point of view, probably justified with the yellow card.
Both these teams have had red card dramas for stars throughout the season. Sam Kerr sent off a couple of weeks back. Here's a yellow card for a lady from Tully in Queensland, Kim Carroll. Got a sporting field named after her up in that part of the world. Not bad going when you're still in your 20s.
Certainly had a fantastic career with Brisbane Raw to start, with the Matildas as well. A key component of this Perth Glory back four.
Her hometown famous for its rainfall. She doesn't see much in the west playing for the Perth Glory. I wouldn't imagine. Just wake up in the morning, see the blue skies, and they stay for the remainder of the day. As Kennedy goes long. Karmas got on the end of it, almost accidental header.
I think she surprised herself there. Karmas, Kaya Simon jumping in front of her. Unable to direct anything really onto it.
Worked out nicely from Kerr, who saw her teammate in a promising position there, but just hit it with too much pace down breeze.
Well, not everyone's got the same pace that Sam Kerr has. He's perhaps expecting a little bit too much from Mortz there. But better signs from Perth Glory. They've settled since the penalty.
Uzenla. Pocket was picked. Sam Kerr might have been offside had that got through to her. Polias saw it off. Well done. Jamie Gibbons again staying in front of Uzenla. She's tenacious. Left behind by Ford. Cries of handball fall on deaf ears. Carroll. Flick on from Kerr. Really does try to make something happen every time the ball goes near her. And he needs to come off once or twice a game and has goal scoring chances.
There's very little that Sam Kerr does try to do simple. At times it can be very frustrating as a coach when he wants the play to be slowed down or just held on, but she's just such an infectious character up front. Great energy always, just trying to make something happen, trying to work something. A key leader for the Perth Glory.
Oh, there's Yeoman Dale again. She just won't change her game style despite that booking. And that could easily have gone amiss there.
Well, it had to be timed perfectly well. Yeoman Dale probably trying to make up the earlier mistake. It's a strong crunching tackle. It's great to see Speedy, to be honest.
I'm sure the Sydney FC bench had their hearts in their mouths though. Can't afford to lose a player in the first half on a day like this when Perth have Sam Kerr in the lineup. Deflection actually helps Kerr out here, but Kennedy attacked the ball. Now she's out of position though. Can Perth get Kerr into space? She nicked it past Ralston. And that time Yeoman Dale gets a good clean challenge in and plays it out off Kerr for a goal kick.
Good recovery from Yeoman Dale. Sam Kerr again just rolling out to Sydney FC's right-hand side. Both sides appealing. It's only ever going to be a goal kick. The game's certainly opened up now. A lot of distance for these players to cover. It is still warm. Thankfully a little bit of breeze for them to cool the the day down.
Of course, any red card today would see you miss a grand final if your team was to progress. And Yeomandale, the lady under threat, she's from Canberra, so there's a very real chance she could be playing a grand final in her hometown next week. How exciting for the W League. That's going to be in prime time next Sunday night, locked in. Sunday night, wherever it's hosted, either here in Perth or in Sydney or in Canberra. 7:30 kickoff next week. Lock it in the diary. On Fox Sports and ABC, of course.
It's just a competition that continues to grow, the Westfield W League. Fantastic league for the Matildas to play in. Overseas players had some fantastic overseas players in the competition as well. So integral for the development of the game in this country.
Yeomandale now. She's fouled, is she? No. Bernardo might have got away with one. And she looks to release Kerr. Kennedy was tracking that run. Now she fires the diagonal. Will Ford be able to keep it in? Well, the flag goes up against one of them, which is fair enough. They both chased it. Ford didn't get there anyway.
Lana Kennedy certainly has that distribution ability. Fantastic striker of the ball. Has really matured into one of the best central defenders in the world, in my opinion. It's fantastic in the Matildas campaign at the Olympics.
And the latest one signed by Tom Samani for the Orlando Pride in the States. We had Catley and Alloway there last season. Lisa Devanna also dropped in, I think.
Kenny also has that versatility to be able to play in midfield. She still thinks of herself as a midfielder at times, I believe.
Seamson, yeah, little nibble at the heel of Rigby. That's what forced her to stumble. Seamson just thought she might have got away with it.
Seamson certainly put herself about in this first half, hasn't she? Doesn't give Rigby a moment's rest. Let's see why with that attitude, why she has scored 6 goals, is it, so far for Sydney FC this season?
Yeah, scored both goals last week, brought them back to 2-2. So even after falling in that early hole against Adelaide United, she gave them real hope of lifting that Premier's plate, which was available for them to lift on the day at Coopers Stadium. But the Reds just powered away, won 5-2 in the end. Just some amazing scorelines in the latter rounds of the season. They handed the Premier's plate effectively to Canberra United, who Sydney FC smashed a few weeks back, 6-1.
Adelaide United certainly played their part in deciding at beating Perth Glory the game before. And Sydney FC.
Here's Kerr again. Oh, wonderful control. Sam Kerr still goes to ground looking for a penalty, and there's nothing there. But what about the improvisation? She so very nearly pulled it off.
Was able to get the ball forwards. Great touch in the head. Oh, it wasn't luck. Comes across. Doesn't seem to be a huge amount of contact. It doesn't need to be when Kerr's running at that pace. Doesn't luck perhaps clip the heel. No, I think that's a good decision. And Coelho able to pounce gratefully on the ball.
Despotovsky, a bit of a contrast to Kenny Lowe. I'm not sure he would have sat in his chair and given us one of those reactions if the penalty claim had been turned down like that. A-League action coming up after this, of course. Perth Glory at home with the Newcastle Jets. Live on Fox Sports or on ABC Radio. Foul given away here by Ford.
The Glory players asking the question why Ford wasn't booked. Kim Carroll was for a similar incident earlier.
Good crowd building right behind the Glory here. Many of them trying to stay in the shade at the moment. On a warmish afternoon, but not too bad for the players here in the West. Again, Kennedy dragged wide by Kerr. play for the goal kick.
Sydney FC just need to get back in possession of the ball. Glory have done a good job in hurrying them. Been unable to slow the tempo, unable to really get Caitlin Ford back in the game again. Kai Simon hasn't seen much of it lately. Without the service for those three, very difficult for them to operate effectively.
These two teams combined for the highest aggregate score ever in the W League game, a 7-5 thriller, and you were coaching that day. Probably going to be a bit lighter on for goals today, but both teams with attacking intent.
They do, and Sydney FC throughout their history have had some fantastic attacking players. They've always been a high-scoring side. That was a fantastic occasion, the 7-5 game at the Sydney Football Stadium before Sydney Western Sydney Wanderers game, if I recall rightly. That really was end to end. I don't think we're going to see the same result here. Either side would certainly just be happy with a 1-goal victory.
Here's Di Bernardo taking on the strike, but Quaylo not troubled. Of course, you've got company in the record books for the highest aggregate after that 10-2 a few weeks back. Another 12-goal game. A bit more one-sided than that 7-5 encounter. Third-year law student Claire Quaylo. She'll be one and done for Sydney FC. This will be her only game in their colours. Pretty big occasion for her, because Sham Karmas would have been available if this final was played tomorrow. And when you look back at the original schedule for the W League, 2v3 was supposed to be on the Sunday, so Karmas would have been right to play, but concussion protocol rules you out for that full week, and they played on Sunday last week, so she wouldn't be available until Sunday this time around. Here's Kerr again. Look at that touch. Not fouled by Polias. Away goes Uzunla. Again, needs close control from Seamson. Karmas. Simon can turn. Seamson right through the middle. Showed too much of it to Di Bernardo. Elias shifts it on. Good strong challenge and helped on quickly. Kerr has the speed on Kennedy. It tries to cut her off at the pass. Sam Kerr! And a good save from Quaylo. Good strong left hand as Kerr went near post.
Well, that's Sam Kerr in a nutshell. Quickly turned around the defence. Alana Kennedy did well to get back and get any sort of pressure on her. And then the strike of the near post. Quaylo stood up well. Very easy to go to ground early with that one. Held a position, an important save for Sydney FC. Kenny's just able to force Kerr wide. There have been many other defenders. Kerr may have been able to come in narrower and attack the goal with more venom.
Just a little fortunate there. But it rebounded out to Yeomandale. Seamson and chases it down. Not going to do so on that occasion though, after the return ball from Bolger. And if you're wondering why Sydney FC were able to dip in to the Newcastle Jet stocks, if you like, and find this keeper Quaylo, that's the only position you can do it for, because there's two goalkeepers on a roster. Karmas unavailable, so they've got to have two goalkeepers this week, and that's why they're able to do that. So they couldn't go out and find a right back, for instance, or another striker from the Jets. Kerr going to ground too easily for the referee's liking on multiple occasions here. Despotowski's running out of patience.
Well, smart from Uzunla. Just held her ground. Stretching well, Romero. He's going to come back though.
spinning almost to the advantage of Ford. And there's just enough time for Rigby to get across. Ford to stay down. Karmas into the area. Lena Karmas pokes it, goes under Dalbusco. And Perth able to get it out for a corner, but everyone holds their breath when Caitlin Ford goes down.
Looked a fair whack that she copped as the ball was cleared. She's a tough cookie, Caitlin Ford. Certainly plays with her shin pads down around her ankles as well most of the time. It's Rigby who's strong. Gets the ball away.
And she's going to require some treatment now. And her new Japanese club will be keeping a keen eye on this game, of course. Just signed a deal, announced it this week, that she'll be off to play in Japan with Vegalta Sendai, Graham Arnold's old club.
Oh, fantastic opportunity for Caitlin Ford. Good work from Karmas. Just pokes it across. Dalbusco misreads it. Rigby there to clear the day, as she has been on a few occasions for Perth Glory. Great opportunity for Caitlin Ford to continue her development as a footballer. Asian Player of the Year, as you said earlier. Certainly someone the Matildas are heavily reliant on. Hopefully for Sydney FC's sake, she can run this knock off.
Yeah, won't have to make a change because half-time is not too far away, but will she be able to return for the second half? As Polias runs around the flag to get that corner whipped in, and Kennedy arrived. And Dalbusco did enough to affect the header opportunity.
Well, she's a tall player, Alana Kennedy. She's good in the air. Dalbusco coming off a line. Just able to do enough. Force Kennedy to head that chance over the bar.
That corner technique from Teresa Polias came the wrong side of the flag, if you like, but obviously wanted to attack it that way. You don't see it too often. Saw Furio in the A-League the other day kick the corner flag out when he was trying to take one. And Polias, I reckon she had plenty of contact there with the flag, but she obviously wanted to get that straight delivery going.
As Ford comes back onto the field, still heavily limping.
Here we go, Jamie.
It's an interesting one. Just wants that little bit of curl back in from that angle while still driving the ball.
She's a diminutive character. Not many players will be able to squeeze in there like that. And there goes the halftime whistle. Really entertaining stuff in the first Westfield W League semi-final of 2016-17. Sydney FC's new keeper, Claire Coelho, came up with a crucial late save, but she couldn't stop DiMonato's penalty after the Perth Glory midfielder equalised following Kaya Simon's instinctive strike on the turn, which gave Sydney FC an advantage. But at half-time, it's Perth 1, Sydney FC 1. In purple for the Perth Glory. She says she'd never play for the Freo Dockers if she was to make the switch to women's AFL. It'd only be if the West Coast Eagles was to bring a team in, so it's good news for football fans. And she's going to keep on playing for the Matildas and the Glory. And here she is, Sam Kerr, straight on the front foot. And look at that from Kerr! It nearly sliced in. And it also nearly picked out a teammate at the back post, Alyssa Mortz. What a start to the second half.
Well, Sam Kerr with space to run. Seen this on so many times. Sam Kerr attempting the cross, nearly drifting in. She scored one of these against Sydney FC and Wollongong a couple of years back to complete her first ever hat-trick in the W League. Nearly repeated the effort.
Yeah, that was an amazing hat-trick that day. And her finish earlier this season as well against Lydia Williams. One of the best you'll ever see at Amy Park. And she turned that game around late. Foul in the circle by Karmas on Nikki Stanton, the former Seattle Sounder. Second season with the Perth Glory. Kim Carroll looking for Kerr here, or Mortz. I've come off the arm of Mortz. Sydney able to clear. remarkable record for the Sky Blues, who've played finals in each and every W League season, all 9 of them, trying to make the grand final for the 5th time in those 9 years. And Perth hunting their second trip to the big one. Hosted it a few years back now. Canberra United came here and beat them on the big day. Sorry to bring it up, Jamie.
Painful memories, thanks, Speedy. It was a fantastic occasion with the team that Perth Glory, and I was very proud to coach that year. Some wonderful players. Colette McCullum, we spoke at half-time. Alana Kennedy, Caitlin Ford on Sydney FC's side. Sam Kerr. It was a wonderful side. Had a fantastic season. Broke a number of records, but couldn't pull it off in the final day, which is the beauty of finals football.
And those Canberra stars. Ashley Sykes was one of the best that day. And she's the reigning Golden Boot winner from this season, and she'll be in action tomorrow night. The late game on Sunday night.
There'll be another cracking game as well. Melbourne City be very disappointed with how they've gone about this season after conquering all before them in an incredible run of results last year. Really struggled to back that up. They certainly have the quality to trouble Canberra United as well.
Some of the goals that the team in green are scoring of late are just so easy on the eye. Kinga and Sykes among the goal scorers last week. Fabulous team to watch. Favourites now after wrapping up the Premier's Plate, you'd think. Whichever one of these teams get through, though, will be a major test for whoever is in the grand final next week. Melbourne City trying to defend their title. Here goes Di Bernardo. Closing down from Kennedy. Bolger goes back to Uzunla. Great tackle won by Di Bernardo. Ford desperate to try and win it back. And just a little over-aggressive. Whistle against her. Talking to as well for the way she went through Jamie Gibbons here.
She's another player, just plays on the edge, will give everything she has each and every game. Such a fierce competitor.
Romero into the area, awkward for the Sydney FC defenders. They thought it touched a hand there as Ralston and Kennedy came together. And Ralston was upended as well at the back end of it. Anything in this? Does that strike the hand of Kennedy?
Seems to strike the hand of Kennedy to be a difficult one to give. The referee would have been unsighted. Then Jamie Gibbons gives her a little bit of her own back. She's copped a couple so far this game.
After quite some time, in consultation with the assistant on the far side, free kick has been given to Sydney FC. Barrett. It's a full-time job that he works during the week, the technical director at the International Football School on the Central Coast. Taking charge of the Sydney FC W League team. His 3rd season at the helm. Here's Simon. Trying to get the better of Carroll. And good advantage played for Karmas to take on the strike, and she'll be disappointed not to really test Del Busco there.
Just opened her body up, trying to look to bend it into that far corner. Fell invitingly to wrap the foot around. Disappointing contact. That's better from Sydney FC.
And did they dodge a bullet at the other end, Sydney FC, with that striking the arm of Kennedy? If the referee sees that, do you think it's point to the spot? No hesitation? Or
well, her arm's away from the body. Has she done a delivery? Probably not, but it's a movement of her arm away from the body. Strikes the ball. Perhaps Perth Glory can feel a little bit unlucky on that occasion.
Kennedy, who won a title in the United States last season, played in in a dramatic grand final over there, which went to extra time and then penalties. Hopefully be part of the big final day in the W League. Everyone to stop there for a moment thinking it must be offside against Uzunla, but nothing in it. Corner one, and there is Sham Karmas, who made the trip across with the team, even though she couldn't be part of the action today. Normally the first choice goalkeeper, such a presence for them at the back. She was subbed off last week after that head knock in the 70th minute. Interesting routine here for Uzunla. Well done, Mortz again. She so often gets her body in the road. Karmas still trying to wriggle away clear, and they win another corner off Di Bernardo.
It's Uzunla who's able to get herself forwards. Well worked routine from Sydney FC. Caitlin Ford looking to come short. Ball sprayed out to Uzunla. But you're right, fantastic work from Mortz again. She really does add some steel into the Perth Glory defence, midfield I should say.
Kennedy peels off. Elias looking for her, and Kennedy managed to get across the defenders and just couldn't direct the header towards goal. Just couldn't get the body shape pointing the right way.
It was probably not the type of ball she'd really want. She'd rather have that a little bit higher, trying to be able to attack it over the top. She does have a clear advantage over most players on the field with her height. She has got a good leap as well.
It was a well-worked routine as well, and fired in perfectly towards Kennedy from Polias. Sydney FC showing us a couple of variations from the corner. The men's team for Sydney FC still haven't managed to score from a corner, more than 100 of them this A-League season. They're doing everything else right though.
Yeah, they remain unbeaten. I don't think Graham Arnold will be too worried about scoring from corners if that remains the same.
Yeah, score so many from open play. Gibbons. Kennedy has to deal with Kerr again. He gets a cross in, but Sutton and company, including Di Bernardo, were a little late getting into the box to give Kerr an option. Di Bernardo still tracked it down. Out comes Quaylo, didn't get there, and it's onto the top of the crossbar. Wouldn't have counted anyway. It was offside against Mortz. It was also cleaned up there by Quaylo.
Oh, it's brave. Very brave to attack that ball as it's being played in. A step offside from Mortz. Quaylo comes. Mortz gets there clearly first. Just cops a glancing blow to the head as well.
Quaylo, diminutive really in stature, and a couple of times with those high balls she's been caught out, and look at how badly Mortz might have come off here.
It's a brave effort from Mortz. Certainly cops at least one fist into the head, if not both, as Quaylo follows through. Bit of concern.
I think her hair was maybe creating an optical illusion for a few people at home. Might have thought that cheek had blown up. But she looks like she might be okay to go on. Won the Under-20 World Cup with the United States back in 2008 alongside Alex Morgan. Oof, there you go. That's where she copped it. An egg on the side of the cheek. Might be the end of the section for Alyssa Mortz.
There'd certainly be some worry about a fracture in that area. It's a little bit more than a glancing blow, isn't it, that has caused that, I suppose?
Might have been the best punch landed all weekend, and I'm including that Adelaide Oval stoush last night between Mundine and Green. Perth Glory players were all watching last night, Sam Kerr among them, offering her congratulations to Danny Green, but that punch with the gloves of Quaylo has provided the bigger impact. I think I'll be telling Danny Green to his face though. Here's Yeomandale into the area. And well done, Kim Carroll. Didn't panic at all. Just cut out the passing lane for the cutback.
Just use her experience. Beautiful positioning from Carroll.
Nice idea from Di Bernardo. Kennedy had to be on guard. Kerr was trying to get him behind.
Fantastic decision from Kennedy as Mortz comes back on. Knew if Kerr had received that, it would have been a difficult one to catch her and chase her down. Electing to hook the ball clear.
Sutton in a wide area there. Kerr is through the middle. Shank off Kennedy, and it's an own goal. So unfortunate for Sydney FC. But the Perth Glory aren't complaining. They hit the front for the first time in this final.
That's a terrible mistake by Alana Kennedy. Di Bernardo back onto a left foot. No hint of offside. And it's a difficult one for Kennedy to deal with. Just as it bounces up off the surface, she can't quite get her foot round it off the shin and loops over Quayle. Quayle could do nothing about it.
And that's just the presence of Sam Kerr that can make defenders panic. She knew Kerr was in behind. Here's Ford, straight from the kickoff. Trying to hit straight back. Still plenty of time for Sydney FC, but that's got to suck the wind out of you.
Yeah, it would be very difficult. I haven't really got back into their game after half-time. Perth Glory have been very effective in shutting Sydney down and have looked probably the more dangerous.
Let's check in with the Perth Glory camp. Steve Nelkovsky down there with the coach.
Yeah, thanks with Bobby Despotovsky. Bobby, a great time to strike in the second half.
Yeah, look, you know what, we put Sydney under pressure and obviously paid off on goal, but, you know, we take it.
Are you confident you can hold on to this lead with 30 minutes to go?
Look, we're going to try. We're going to try to finish this game, but, you know, and anything can happen.
Best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Would they try and lock it down at all, or just keep on trying to score goals themselves?
I think with Sam Kerr and Rosie Sutton, there's not really any intention of locking it down. The best way of killing a game off is to go score another one or two. Sydney FC certainly have their own firepower. They have weapons on the bench as well. It'll be interesting to see when Dan Barrett does go. The likes of Amy Harrison, Francisca Ortega as well.
I reckon with the game situation now, Ortega might be first cab off the rank. Princess Abini is another attacking option as well. Flicked on by Karmas. That's a good header out in front of Seamson. Rigby made up the ground quickly though.
Seamson just doesn't seem as sharp as she did in the first half. It's been hard work for the youngster. Very impressive first half. Hasn't seen a lot of the ball in this second half. Perhaps one who may be sacrificed as Barrett looks for this equaliser.
Play off. Back to Yeomandale. Cross just overhit for Ford. Moving really smoothly after that knock late in the first half, which is great to see. Giving away the free kick was Unla, and then delaying the free kick. Prompts the talking to and a final warning.
Well, strong work from Di Bernardo. Unla clearly tugging on the jersey. And very mindful of the threat that Glory can pose on the counter-attack.
They've clocked off here. Cross just favoured Quaylo though from Gibbons. Rolled out quickly to Karmas. And Simon and Carroll got past those two. And last touch off Simon out for the goal kick.
That's what we need to see more of from Kaya Simon for Sydney FC. Has got that quality, the ability to beat defenders, hold the ball up as well. Haven't seen enough of it in this second half.
Not a lot of movement on the benches yet, as you just saw. Now Stanton trying to bend it around Ralston. Kerr will get there. And can they prevent the corner? No, they can't. Deflected off Ralston, and Quaylo couldn't keep it in.
It's just such a reliable outball for Sam Kerr, for Perth Glory, isn't it? Just peels off the shoulder of Ralston, gets in behind, and on this occasion wins the corner kick.
Corner towards the penalty spot. Kerr is there, so is Kennedy. Now DiBernardo. Nice little burst of speed to get past the initial defender. Oh, the follow-up shot! And Quaylo had to beat it away. That was travelling from Sarah Carroll from nearly 30 metres out.
Wonderful strike. Not sure Sarah Carroll would have known what to do with herself if that had flown into the net. Not what you call a prolific scorer of goals. A fantastic strike. Quaylo had to be alert.
Yeah, good effort from the keeper, because you saw on that replay that Sam Kerr ducked out of the way, so would have seen it late. Now the corner deep, and the header back across the face, just over the crossbar.
Well, they're threatening Perth Glory, aren't they? They're starting to apply the screws to Sydney FC.
Here's 1-4-4 to chase. Romero cuts it off. And out by Uzunla. Let's check in on the Sydney FC camp now. Let's get down to Steve Nelkowski.
Yeah, thanks, Speedy, with Dan Barrett, the coach of Sydney FC. Dan, the goal to Perth Glory, what does that change tactically for you now?
Oh, look, yeah, obviously we'll start to look at our bench soon as time goes on to see if we can obviously influence things and get the score back in our favour.
And what's the message you'll be having to your team throughout the final 30 minutes?
Oh, look, just keep sticking to the task that we said earlier on in the week. I thought we did that pretty well first half, and I thought we played some good football. So we are nothing too drastic. We just keep playing on the things that we worked on.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
Yeah, they were so good early on, but probably needed to get another goal or two for their early dominance. Paying the price for that. Kennedy can let that one run.
Yeah, Sydney FC certainly very impressive in the first half. A number of strikes on goal. Maybe some 13-5 shots to Perth Glory, but that stat is starting to change and starting to even up. And of course, the most important statistic is Perth Glory are winning.
Got to be so tough for Quaylo and the back four to be on the same page. She got the phone call on Wednesday morning, was straight down to Sydney. Only had a couple of training sessions with the club. Can't blame her for the way that own goal looped over her head. There'd be no keeper stopping that one. And she has made some handy saves.
Certainly a strong one in the first half from Sam Kerr. Dived on another opportunity when Kerr had got through.
That's good play. Uzunla takes on the long-range strike, and not a great option in the end.
Uzunla can certainly strike the ball, but had two options on the left side. Bolger and Ford, I think it was, who had peeled off. Just can't get too frustrated yet. Still have those attacking weapons. Ford, Simon, Seamson up front.
You've been there in the thick of it in finals action. We'll get back to that in a moment, because Kerr's got the better of Ralston. Sam Kerr! And on the follow-up, Quaylo does well to smother the second time around. Well, you're just waiting for Sam Kerr to get her goal this afternoon. Hasn't come as yet.
That's probably, if there's one criticism of Sam Kerr, and there's not many.
Flag up here against Ford for offside.
If she took nearly, only half probably the goals that she created, she'd be absolutely unstoppable. It's a great covering challenge from Alana Kennedy get back across. Quick reaction again. Falls to Coelho's feet, but she's just got such energy, Sam Kerr. Ability to get herself in those situations. Just that final little bit of composure, especially on the world stage for the Matildas, which will take her right to the very top of players.
Bernardo now. Elias trying to stay in front of her. Little dink inside, and Kennedy driving header away. It's a nothing ball around the corner from Stanton. So a quarter of the 90 to go, and Sydney FC are going to make a double change, are they? Here comes the first one. Remy Seamson off, and on comes Amy Harrison, former Young Matildas captain. Young lady has been working her way back from that terrible ACL injury. Had a couple of games back since off the bench, and Lena Karmas also makes way. And on goes Price, Olivia Price. Lesser known of the players on the bench, but she'll do a job in midfield.
Somewhat surprising. Dan Barrett utilising Price ahead of some of the other options.
So now it's only one of Abini or Ortega that he can go for. Chasing at least one goal. Nice from Harrison, early contribution. Di Bernardo, such a presence in midfield for Perth. Scored their first goal from the penalty spot as they level it up just 6 minutes after falling behind. It was a great response from the Glory. And here they come again. Kerr got across for Lias, who's trying to prevent the yellow card coming. No joy. So, second Sydney FC player in the book.
Kerr just able to wriggle away to the front of that contest. Elias upending Kerr pretty unceremoniously in the end. Handshakes all round afterwards. Another opportunity for Perth Glory. Trying to play a dangerous ball in the box, or may even fancy a strike from this range. Di Bernardo can certainly hit them.
Taking the ball back a good distance here. There'll be a few players around the world who'd like this referee in charge of wall setting. Plenty of room to get it up and over. And Stanton goes for goal. And travelling. Never coming down to threaten Coelho.
Coelho saw it all the way. Very comfortable with her positioning. Certainly got some power behind it, Stanton.
Nicknamed Gucci. Get used to it. There's a handy Real Madrid midfielder by the same name back in the day. Here goes Caitlin Ford. Just left it behind, but she'll still track it down. Now Bolger. Uzunla swings it in. Kaya Simon looking for the second ball. Now she gets it from Ford. Simon will take on the strike. Not a bad idea, but didn't get the connection she was after.
Nice intelligent ball across from Caitlin Ford, and Simon just had to take it a little bit quickly before it dropped.
So Perth go to their bench for the first time. And Gibbons, who's put in a really good shift, gets the early mark and an ovation. And we see Sean Billum fulfill this role so often. Comes on, and it's a milestone game for her as well in the final, her 50th Westfield W League game.
It's a fantastic achievement for Sean Billum. Has worked very hard from a young age to put herself into this position, firstly to get into the W League squad and to try and cement herself as a first team player here at Perth Glory. Has often been in and out of the side, but will give her all, doesn't complain, and will certainly be a physical presence for Perth Glory as well.
Dale gets away with the miscontrol. Actually allowed her to push forward. Eventually across the line. And they're talking it over about whether it should be a free kick, are they? Despotovsky up out of his chair asking the question where the foul was. He thinks it should have been a Perth Glory throw. Polias across to take the free kick. Not a lot of movement from the players in and around the edge of the area. Now, one handball there. Second time around too. Friendly fire as it was fired straight into Kim Carroll. Now Simon. Dale won't get there, but they'll get a corner out of all that. Untidy, but somewhat effective.
Well, it's a better spell for Sydney. Able to maintain possession in Perth Glory's half. A long ball originally from Polias wasn't dealt with at all. Corner now gives Alana Kennedy the chance to come forwards, perhaps atone for that own goal.
Yeah, how often do you see players score at both ends? They do get an Oggie next to their name. Polias back towards the edge of the area. Harrison back in. Tried to keep it alive second time around too, and if they'd hit Kerr there it might have been dangerous. Just eluded it. That's a good option from Polias. Couldn't clip it over the top though. Now Harrison getting plenty of touches there in the middle of the park, as is Stanton. That was expertly won ahead of Kaya Simon, and that'll be a Perth throw this time.
Sydney FC just too compact in their attacking third that occasion. No options out wide on either side. Perth Glory quite happy to set up a block and deny them any time and space in that area.
Oh, Ford so strong in the challenge. Now trying to hold off Mortz. Stanton comes and lends a hand. The two Americans get the better of Caitlin Ford. Sutton and Kerr combine. Had an easy ball to Di Bernardo, did Sam Kerr, and the Americans wondering why she wasn't utilised.
Well, again, Sam Kerr doesn't do things the easy way. So he could quite have easily beaten those 2 or 3 defenders and gone on a 50-yard mazy run.
Now she's got the throw, takes it quickly. Rosie Sutton on the move. Ralston summed it up early. Confidence from Quaylo. Not afraid to voice her opinion to Polias, the skipper. Now to Uzunla. Punches it, looking for Simon. Well cut out by Romero. Uzunla in there trying to win it back. And the little backhander is going to result in a booking here. The player was on the ground, so Uzunla saying contact with her is inevitable here.
Well, strength initially and just pushing. I don't think that's even a free kick in my eyes, let alone a yellow card. Arm over the shoulder trying to get away from the player on the ground. Uzunla very disappointed when she sees that one again.
It'll do for Perth Glory, who are 15 minutes plus stoppage time away from booking their spot in the second grand final. They'll have to wait more than 24 hours to find out whether they'll be hosting it. It's Billum. Good work from Harrison defensively to create the turnover. And Stanton, so often there to break things up in midfield.
She has been such an important player for Perth Glory today. Doesn't get the recognition of those players further forward, but is a real vital cog in how Bobby Despotovsky has set his team up this season. Injuries and suspension has often seen her play a little bit further forwards as well. But I think most at home in that role just in front of the back four.
Yeah, no goals as yet in her 23 W League games. And so much of the dirty work, if you like. Frustrating little period for Servette Uzunla. Kerr gets there and he's see how Kennedy had to back off. Look at her go, Sam Kerr. Brilliant stuff. And now on the follow-up, Still a chance, and it's in, and that might be the goal that takes the Perth Glory into just their second W League Grand Final. Pinpoint finish from Vanessa Di Bernardo, who's got 2 today. But the initial thrust came from the danger woman, Sam Kerr, who celebrates.
Well, it was ricochet rabbit there for a little while. Sydney FC couldn't clear their lines. Then look at Sam Kerr. The turn takes 2 Sydney defenders out of the game. Yeoman Dale can't do enough to clear the first one. Di Bernardo has her first strike blocked, but then strong enough to stay her feet, pounce on the second, and a strong strike, hitting the upright and finding its way in. Sydney FC just unable to get any real purchase on the ball to get the ball out of the box, and Perth Glory profit from it.
What about fantastic final replay that was to show how the ball bent from outside the post to then go in off it. Fabulous finish. And it was all happening so fast for Di Bernardo and not construed as a back pass. Sam Kerr asked the question, as did a couple of thousand here at NIB Stadium in the stands. I think that should have been an indirect free kick opportunity.
I think if Yeoman Dale had meant that one, then it would have been an extraordinary piece of skill.
So what do you reckon she's trying to do then, Yeoman Dale? Get it out for a corner or trying to control that?
I think trying to play it away for a corner. Wasn't sure who was behind her.
Just so happened and went back to a keeper, so play on.
Absolutely. Would have been fantastic composure and skill if it had been meant.
Kerr again just keeps going and going. And Yeoman Dale has to back off now on that yellow card. Sam Kerr put the icing on the cake. Tapping coming up from Rosie Sutton. They're finishing all over the top of Sydney FC. Perth Glory looking very dangerous indeed, heading into the big one.
Well, they've got their tails up, Perth Glory. Sam Kerr was shown the line by Georgie Yeoman Dale and said, I'll certainly take that and then I'll cut back inside. Good strike. Coelho can only parry, perhaps should have done better from the first shot. And Rosie Sutton, she has done so many times in her career, finds herself in the right place at the right time, and it's good composure as well. Allows the ball to drop, and it's a side foot pass. And Rosie Sutton certainly does like playing at this ground. Scored a hat-trick here on her full debut for the club 4 or 5 years ago, and puts a sealer on Perth Glory's performance.
They asked for a penalty here, nothing doing. Harrison hit the deck. Looked like a good decision on first inspection. I think a Perth Glory player poked it away before Harrison went down.
Well, how Sydney FC must be ruining. The fact they let the Premier's plate slip, having to travel over to the west, a difficult trip to come.
Get a corner here. Still 10 minutes to go. Would be one of the great all-time comebacks if they could force this one to extra time.
Well, they need something soon, don't they? Something just to put a bit of a scare through the Perth Glory camp. For the past 15, 20 minutes, it's been all the glory.
Elias's corner, and again Kennedy is found and can't keep the header down. Aspect of a game she probably has to work on.
Well, normally such a good header of the ball as well, Alana Kennedy. Scored a couple of goals in her stint at Perth Glory. Probably going to be thrown a little bit further forwards this last 10 minutes as well.
Bolger off and Princess Abini on. Sister of Bernie, who's been in scintillating form for the men's team. And it means that Ordega, the Nigerian international who had played in the last World Cup against the Matildas, He's going to sit on the bench for the entirety. Here they come again. Mort's just overhit for Sutton. Carroll stepping out, winning it twice. She sees something opening up through the middle. Not really her role, the playmaker. Harrison, little snapshot of her ability there. Labini won't be able to track it down though.
It's been a disciplined performance from Perth Glory so far. So much of their game built around being solid, not being hard, being hard to break down and then countering quickly, bringing the likes of Sam Kerr, Rosie Sutton into the game. Sydney FC will be left ruining those chances in the first half when they were dominating. It's really the penalty that swung the game, hasn't it? Really changed the complexion when Sydney FC were on top.
Cross in from Mabini, kept alive by Simon, and now Kennedy, as you say, pushed further forward. Spins for the advantage of Caitlin Ford. Now Simon, dink over the top, one for Ford to chase. In a tangle with Kim Carroll, gives away the free kick.
It's just all too narrow for Sydney FC. We're more than happy to keep a number of players central. That's their strengths, with that narrow diamond midfield that they do play.
What about Mortz, who we saw with that egg on the side of her cheek earlier? She's played on in this game, and no doubt we'll have some scans tomorrow, and let's hope they all come back positive for her and she can play in the grand final next week.
A great deal of courage from Mortz to come back on. I'm sure the Perth Glory doctors would have checked her thoroughly. Hopefully just a blood vessel or two, probably more than one, has burst to cause that.
Did you ever have any eggs blow up with your aerial contests in your career?
Well, there's more than one. A few stitches as well. I'm sure she's probably quite glad that hasn't been the case.
Kerr wins the corner. When you're playing at home and you fall behind in a final, grand final on the line, this has been some response from the Perth Glory to get that equaliser within 6 minutes. That puts the panic at bay, and then they've just finished all over Sydney FC. And the Sky Blues really paying the price for not only missing out on that Premier's plate, but giving up the home ground advantage in the first week of the finals.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Speedy. It's a difficult place to come over. Over the years, Perth Glory, both the men and women's team, have enjoyed playing at home. It is a long flight, but you just have to look at the whole season. I don't think there's many people that would have identified Perth Glory as being one of the teams that would be up there pushing, who have lost the Premier's played only on goal difference. With the squad that they have, Bobby Despotowski must be congratulated. Fantastic job. Some of the local players have really stepped up this season, and then the recruitment of the internationals have certainly done their job as well. And of course, Sam Kerr, as skipper, has led the line fantastically well.
Yeah, everyone just seems to know their roles, and they've all executed today. I think the Americans outstanding as well. DiBernardo and Stanton and Mortz, all of them in that midfield area. Here comes another change. Rosie Sutton gets the early mark on the score sheet with the 4th goal for the Glory, which was the 20th of her W League career in 47 appearances. So that's a great strike rate for the lady up front.
there's one thing Rosie Sutton always has had, and it's a natural ability to score goals. I was lucky enough to first see her. She came on trial at Perth Glory W League when I was back in the second season I was coaching, and straight away you just knew she had a knack for finding the back of the net. She's continued to build on that. It's a player that I would love to have met and coached when she was younger as well, because there's just so much potential within, but she certainly forged a great W League career with Adelaide United last year and moved back to Perth Glory, and it's been a great success.
Here's Billum into the area, fired it back with some pace, and now Stanton with a long-range effort, trying to get that first goal of the season. Quaylo hammers it long. Romero back to Del Busco. Haven't called the Perth Glory keeper's name too often in this second half. FC trying to go too narrow, and Perth have had plenty of bodies in the road. And good enough to expose Sydney FC the other way. The pace of Kerr so important. Yep, that's the right decision. Mort's played it out off Harrison.
Killing this game off nicely, Perth Glory now, aren't they? Mortz again, prepared to put a body on the line.
Here's Billum, after it skimmed off the head of Uzunla. Going to get it in towards Kerr, who was the only teammate to hit in the middle. So how does Despotovsky prepare now for a grand final? He gets to sit back and watch the game tomorrow night. Plenty of video analysis, or just trying to get his team right?
Well, you get the extra day's break, which is always going to be helpful as well. Certainly, you'd allow the players to enjoy this, enjoy the day. The recovery tomorrow morning, they'll already be thinking of next week. By then, they'll be thinking of next week, tonight. Then the hard work will begin on Monday or Tuesday in preparation. Certainly, probably Despotovsky are taking a keen eye on the game tomorrow night. Two quality sides in Canberra United and Melbourne City. Not sure there's one preference for either, though. Of course, Canberra United certainly gave Perth Glory a good touch-up at their place recently.
I'm sure Perth will be cheering on Melbourne City, because that means they would host the grand final, of course, if it went that way tomorrow. So I think they'd be happy to say that we hope Melbourne City win, but they'd welcome the challenge if it was Canberra United in the big one. Sabini, and again the closing down has been exceptional today by all the Perth Glory back four in the right time.
Well, Sarah Carroll has been superb. There's Caitlin Ford for large parts of the game, stuck to a task. Saw Caitlin Ford's influence diminish in the second half. And again up against Abini.
Ford did well to keep it in. Force Rigby to backtrack. Again, no one on the end of the cutback towards the edge of the area. Here's Kerr as we enter the 4 minutes of stoppage time. Now she gets around the outside. No way past Ralston though. It's a good opportunity to be around 5 p.m. Perth time tomorrow. You think it's good for the team maybe to get together and watch that together and talk about the opposition that they're going to face?
I'm sure they will. I'm sure they'll get themselves around someone's house after the recovery session. Have a look and see who their prospective opponents will be. I'm sure they'll be hoping it's even at that late time, it's still a very, very warm day. Watch the exertions of the two other teams.
Uzunla. See her clutching a knee after this one. You never like to see that. And in stoppage time with a game lost, that's a better sign. So getting back to her feet under her own steam.
Unlucky not to receive the free kick, Uzunla. It's probably been on the wrong side of one or two questionable decisions today.
You heard the thank you in the effects microphone after Princess Abini returned the ball. And Uzalad's just going to run out the last few minutes in quite some pain. Plenty of space here for Mortz. Just buys time for Rigby to join the attack. Kerr wants a plate to feet to Mortz. And they're just toying with Sydney FC at the moment.
Just get the time.
Back out to Kerr. There's been some build-up. Now the shot. Oh, and it's in! What a way to cap it all off! One of the substitutes with the 5th goal for the Glory. And it's Sean Billum, her 50th game in Perth Glory colours and just her 2nd goal in the W League. What a time to come up with it.
Well, it's fantastic from Billum. He gets a little bit of space on the edge of the box. Coelho perhaps a little bit too far off her line, can't get back in time. Bobby Despotovsky, I should know my ex-teammate better than that, but he can't almost believe it. And wonderful for Sean Billum on her 50th appearance in the W League.
Yeah, they're all in shock on the bench that she's come up with a goal like that for just her 2nd in Perth Glory colours. I mentioned the diminutive stature of Coelho. She's no hope if a shot is so perfectly placed like that off the underside of the crossbar. Credit Sean Billum for working on her shots from that kind of range on the training pitch and pulling it off on the big stage. Such an emphatic scoreline. It's all been courtesy of the way the Glory have finished off in this second half. Ruthless under a man who had an eye for goal. 5 in 4 for the Socceroos and more than 100 in Glory colours in the NSL and A-League. And listen to the celebrations. The Perth Glory into a W League Grand Final for just the 2nd time. And they'll be cheering on Melbourne City tomorrow, hoping they could knock off Canberra United. And that would mean Perth would host the Grand Final. Otherwise, they'll be on the road to face Canberra United next Sunday night. They're into the big one. And Sam Kerr is going to be right to play, the superstar of this team. And she was so effective today, despite not getting on the score sheet.
Well, she just created so much on her own. Just her sheer pace and willingness to work, and of course her undoubted ability. But she's just such a big, significant part of this side. Has had a couple of injury interrupted seasons. Missed the last grand final through injury as well. So she'll be relishing, I know, the thought of leading her hometown side to a potential championship.
Yeah, they won the Premier's Plate in 2014, the Perth Glory. Now they've got a shot at the big one. They're into the grand final. Full time here.